Wow, way to smile there today, Bobby.
Caught me off guard.
Right, we're going live. Hey, we're live. Hey, today we're kind of doing a do's and don'ts. It's I've run in a couple things this week where I kind of wanted to talk about as a buyer maybe what you do want to do and don't want to do. But first, what I'm going to do is ask you, Bobby, give me two things. Either one do, one don't, or both do's and don'ts, and then you ask me the same thing, and we'll do a quick little live about do's and don'ts of when you're buying a house. All right.
Okay.
So what's a do when you or don't when you're buying a house, Bobby? Give me one.
Well, I'd say the biggest do is to make sure you're pre-approved first, right? So obviously, if you already have an agent, you're going to be working with, they obviously are probably going to refer you some lenders. Pick the one that fits you best and get pre-approved. That is the biggest do. There's so many times when people will contact me and they'll say, "Hey, I see this house. I want to go look at it." I'm like, honestly, there's really no point in us looking at it because we don't even know if you can afford it, if you're qualified for it yet.
Right. And since COVID, the best thing that has ever happened is the fact that you have to be pre-approved before you can get into homes. I don't know if they're still doing that, but how it was during that period of time, it should stay that way forever. You should not be showing a property to anybody who's not pre-approved, because what you're doing is protecting the homeowner who owns that house, that you're only bringing in people who can actually buy that house and not looky-loos, right?
Yeah, and that cuts down on a lot of traffic, which was the intention during COVID, right?
Right. And it should stay that way because you should only use, and plus you as a agent should not be taking anybody in your car that is not pre-approved, because you don't really know who these people are. And this world is getting crazier and crazier. Look at stuff on the news where in LA and other places that's happening. You need to protect yourself. And as an agent, you really need to protect yourself. So make sure, and I'm sure your office has things in place so that if you're going to do this, make sure you have this going on. And that's what you need to do, is be protected as an agent and also as a buyer. Sure. You don't know, if your agent isn't telling you to get pre-qualified or pre-approved ahead of time. And the reason I say pre-qualified, because there's still 2 counties in California you can do it pre-qual, even though that's like worst thing you can do. You need to do that to protect you as a buyer and the agent. So
what are my don'ts? I would have to say probably go into open house without your agent. So there's times when your agent may be busy showing other properties at the time that open house, but if they give them the opportunity first, because it's always best, because they're going to be able to answer some of those questions for you, and it's never good to go in without somebody on your side.
Right. I totally agree with that. And the other thing is, and I'm going to talk about on the loan side, right? Do not go with the first person that calls you back. And the reason I'm saying that is sometimes people don't have a lot going on and they can call you back right away, and they're not it's because they don't have, they don't have a ton of business going. So they focus on, I got to call them back right away. Just called me, and you go with that person, and that might not be the best deal for you. And it'd be like, this just happened to me last weekend. Somebody, referred me somebody, and they text me Saturday night. I'm at a crab feed. I don't know if you probably know this, but not everybody knows that I work probably 60 hours a week up until Friday, right? Mm-hmm. So my Saturdays and Sundays is very important to me. Sunday, definitely to spend with my wife, do nothing but spend my time with my wife. And we occasionally go to the cabin at least once a month. And that is like, I don't even answer the phone because you have to get away. So with saying that, and just like you, as we get busier, we can't always respond within 10 minutes. Or 5 seconds on a text or certain things. And that's a good thing, because that means that person is worth waiting for. The quality of work they're going to do, the things they're going to do for you is going to be much better. So this happened to me last weekend where I didn't get back to the person until Saturday. And Sunday, I text them and say, hey, when are you available on Monday to talk? Well, come to find out, they went to an open house, and there was a lender at the open house, and they got qualified with that person. Well, I don't know if you feel this way, but if I'm not saying all of them, but I have a lot of lenders who are sitting at open houses might be brand new in the business. And the reason they're sitting there is because they need business.
Yeah.
Right. So that might not be the best person for you to go with. Quality. We create one of the largest debts in your life. You need a professional to help you to manage that debt. Just like you create one of the largest purchases in their lives, you need a professional to be on that side. What's very important, not only as a seller, but as a buyer, to have the agent on your side. That's why you want to go with your own buyer's agent who's there to protect you and not the seller. Because it's really hard to work for both sides. It's like going to court with the same attorney and you're trying to get the best thing for you and the best thing for the other person that's getting sued. it's hard to work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If it's family, we'll just leave it alone. So basically what I'm saying is you might not want to, so this is what happened. So they went with them. I ended up contacting them again yesterday saying, I know you're probably busy. You've been doing this and this. And they reached out to me because the numbers and everything was messed up by the person that sent it to them. Right. Because they're new.
Yeah.
We all messed up when we're new.
The person they met at the open house.
Yeah. That's because they're new. They're sitting there on a Sunday at open house. I don't know. Lenders, most really good ones, we only work Monday through Friday because we work so much between Monday and Friday. If we work all the time, how are we going to be at our best? Right.
Yeah. Oh, and kind of tying to that, I try to explain to my clients that as agents, our hours are kind of from 6 a.m. until 10 o'clock at night, most days, right? I don't know most agents that can just say, whatever, I don't work the weekends. But escrow and title obviously does not work the weekends. Most lenders don't work the weekends. And I try to explain that up front. So if we have a question or something we're waiting on from either of you, I say, if we don't know by Friday, we're going to have to wait till Monday and we'll probably have an answer.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll reach out to my people, once, during the transaction, maybe on a Friday, in the evening or whatever, just to talk to them. But in the beginning, I can't always be available on a Saturday at 7 o'clock at night because I'm enjoying a crab feed that I'm giving back to the community. Right. Some people go, oh my God, he's a crab feed. Omicron. Anyway, we'll move on. Right. I mean, I was masked up. Don't worry about it. Actually, they had tables in there to eat at, and I found out when you're eating at a table, you never catch COVID anyway. So, and I think they're going to actually take those tables and move them into different schools now.
Yeah.
Make all the kids sit at a table, the eating table, because you never get COVID at an eating table. But for some reason, at your desk in schools, you're going to get COVID. Yeah, anyway, maybe we need to edit that out. But anyway. Yeah. All right. So it's important that you don't just go with the first one that comes back. You need to go with somebody who has the knowledge, who's been doing it a while. There's a bunch of us in our area. I should say there's a handful of us in this area. There's a lot of other people who have been doing it for a lot less. They're not always the best. But you have to be referred. The best thing to do is be referred by them. Get some information from them, find them, search them on Google. You can find me, type my name in, Ed Parcaut. You'll come up with a ton of stuff and you'll find out all my reviews, everything about me, the company, everything. So it's important that you review people too, to make sure what the reviews are saying about them. And that's my don't go with the first person. Don't go with the person at the open house. I told that to a good friend of mine who's a huge agent in Las Vegas. He goes, you are he was like, he goes, you're being mean. I'm like, yeah, but the reason they're there, he goes, you're totally right. Cause I just have a friend of mine who just got in the business here and I told him to go sit at open houses to learn. So, and he's a loan officer. So
I'm gonna say that's something that, agents do a lot, but as far as like loan officers, not too common.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. If you said, hey, I got this open house and I've got a bunch of people coming through and I want you to qualify them, I would schedule it or have one of my people there, but it's not something that, last minute. It can happen, but most houses aren't sold through open houses, right? So
yeah, most of the people that I've met have already looked at the house online. They just want to confirm that they actually like it in person before they write an offer.
Right. All right. And so that's my don't. My do is don't wait. And you're gonna say don't wait at what? If you're thinking, because I keep getting asked, when is the best time to buy? The moment you're thinking about buying a home is the best time to buy. Start the process, go through the process. I had some people call me from, I'm going to drop the radio show. It was funny. This lady called in and she went through and I called her and she's like, oh my God, you're from the radio. You're actually that guy. And I'm like, yeah, of course you're calling for me. I'm going to call you back. That's what happens. Well, basically she just got a new job. She didn't think they can afford a $600,000 VA loan.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So I'm just waiting on some documents to double check everything so we can get them out and get them with the right agent. Don't worry, you'll be getting a call. So the most important the moment you thinking you want to buy a house, you should, because right now I just saw the numbers. Rents are up $300 this last year. Yeah. Right. That's $70,000 in a mortgage. Did you know that?
Well, now I do.
Yeah. So that means that $300 could be $70,000 in a mortgage that you could be affording. And I'm saying it's just part of it. So that means you can You need to look at, I mean, the average rents in Modesto are between 2,200 and 2,800 right now. The average, and that's like and that's like a 400 to 450 purchase price. So, I mean, it's very doable right now, but it won't be that way for very long because rates are starting to go up, and we're going to see that for the next period of time. That does not mean the market's falling apart. Doesn't mean we're going to have a drop in house values. It doesn't mean any of that stuff. It just means you're going to be paying more for your home the longer you wait in a payment.
Well, and folks say, oh, well, there's that rent cap for the whole state of California with the 5%, right? And while that is true, they can pretty much be guaranteed they're going to get a rent increase of 5% every time. There's also, and I use air quotes, creative ways in which landlords find to make more money off the tenants without increasing just their rent. And a lot of times that's through utility costs, so utilities aren't included in the rent. So, and same with the pet rent, that doesn't include towards the actual rent because you don't have to have a pet. So I've talked to people over at the apartments that I used to manage, and they're increasing their pet rents. They're charging them for sewer and garbage, which we never did, and they're also charging them per square footage for water rather than a flat rate. So people's rents are going up another $200 just this renewal cycle.
Right. Or they can say, okay, we need you to move out because we're going to remodel the place. They have ways to get around this. All this government had done when they're trying, and this is the thing I talk about, the government tries to help. They try to get involved. I'm going to help people. And the problem is they hurt. They make it worse. Every time you ask for a government that's bigger and bigger and bigger and they want to help, they hurt everything. So they've made it now. Every time that your lease comes due, it's going up. Where before, if you had a good tenant and you're like, okay, I'm not going to raise your rent, stay there and then eventually when you leave, I'll raise it up. Can't do that. So now every time the lease is up, your rent's going up by the max. It can go up every time.
Yeah.
So get rid. And that's the problem now. That was what was created from them putting that rent control in. And that's how it's going to, that people get around it. So it's not going to, it doesn't help. It hurts.
Well, and for the folks that are thinking like, oh, okay, well, I've been in my apartment since 08, 09, and my rate's low and they can't raise me that much. They're just going to ask you to move. They're going to give you a 60-day notice, Yeah. But I guess we got off the do's and don'ts, but go buy a house. That's the do. We're talking about rents are going up. We didn't get off. I'm saying how rents are going up. They already went up $300 this last year. It's going to go up again this next year. Mm-hmm. They're just going to, because as values go up and things change, rents go up, everything goes up. And the one thing that you can control is the fact that if you buy a house, your payment's going to stay there unless you go take money out or, you do other things and raise that principal loan amount. So your payment will be the same for the rest, except for the impound part that can adjust one way or another, but that has nothing to do with your mortgage payment because you don't have to impound. All right. So that's the do's and don'ts, just a couple different little do's and don'ts to that. And maybe we do this more often, things that have come up that I don't want to say irritate us, but that we see that you might want to not do. And easy things to correct, that make purchasing a home much more attainable.
Yeah. And then basically you would definitely want to work with professionals. You need to make sure that the person's doing this has been in the business a while. And what you can do is on a loans person, I don't know if you know this, but you can go NMLS, .org or whatever it is, and the National Mortgage Licensing System, and see what job they had last year. See what job they had the year before. Because when you apply for a mortgage, your license, you have to say what your jobs were up until that point. It also tell you how long they've been in the business. And we used to do that on this other company that, had a rocket. I don't remember the name, but anyway, they would check and they would say, oh, they were a pet sitter last year, or they were 6 months ago, they were working at, Kohl's or whatever. And now they're trying to tell you how to do your mortgage. And one of the biggest debts in your life, you might want to work with somebody who's been in the business a while. And that's what you should do. Just check them out.
And coming from our end, yes, it is difficult in the beginning. It is, but there's a lot of training and experience that comes with years on the job. So
right, and I have nothing wrong with helping new people, but I'm just saying you have to be careful. They're going to make mistakes, so don't just jump with the first person because they're the first one that calls you back. You should listen to everybody, and I have no problem if I'm the first one that calls you back that you listen to the other two. I have no problem with that.
Oh, because I was going to say I have a do that just made me think about that while you're saying that. Do read everything you sign.
Oh, of course.
Because there's so many folks that they look at, like I say, a purchase agreement and they go, oh man, it's 16 pages. Just tell me where to sign. I'm like, no. I want to go over this with you because I want you to completely understand what you are signing. And people are often surprised at all the things they had no idea were in a purchase agreement. So not to cut you off. Sorry about that, Ed.
No, that's fine. We're good. All right, sir. Thank you so much. I'm glad
you, Ed.
we were doing this today. I think I need to fix something real quick because for some reason we're not. Let's just throw that on there real quick at the end. There we go. All right. So make sure that do's and don'ts, you follow what we tell you. It's important that we don't want you to make a mistake during the process, nor do we want you to have additional costs. Or I do not want you to have a bad transaction that you do not want to buy again. Read people's reviews. That tells you what they've done and how people are happy with them, why they're happy with them. Get a referral. That's what you want to do. And again, thanks for being here today. If you like what we do here, share. Let us know. If you're watching this after the fact, just hit #replay. And if you're old like me, it's the number sign replay. All right. Thanks for being here today, Bobby.